Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Louise. Thin on the ground this morning. Is it nobody's awake? Maybe that's the case. Hope you had a good weekend. So I've painted this. It has got a bit of ultramarine in. Not that you'd be able to tell, to be quite honest. It's black and ultramarine on the canvas, although it looks white. Don't forget my papers get a little bit. My cameras get a little bit scared. You can see how dark it is when I do that. But the black won't be there for long. I'll wait another minute or two. I'll wait till 5 past. There's nothing to sketch out, just to see if there's anybody else joining in. Thank you. It tasted quite nice as well. I had to sample it all. Morning, Sue. Had to sample it all, didn't I? Just to make sure. It's got to be done. Ignore this white bit. This is just so the camera doesn't freak out too much. Gives me something to lean on as well. Well, 5 of you. Hello. Hello, 5 of you. Welcome. Right, it's 5 past. Let me see if anybody's on Discord. Put my glasses on and we'll go for it. So ignore this white bit because you'll see, look how the black changes colour. So I hope you had a really, really nice weekend and you're raring to go for the week ahead. Oh, where's that? Oh, I can't find anything this morning. Nobody yet on Discord. I'll be there anyway, just in case. Right, so you can see that I have painted this. It is a blue black, although it is basically black. I put far too much black out than blue, to be quite honest. So therefore it turned everything black, but it doesn't really matter. A bluey black or a black will work. I have ultramarine, lemon yellow, white, and I've got carmine, but you could use acrylic. We have some abstract acrylic in stock, but our last order, half of what we ordered was not available from the manufacturers. If I am honest, it's now harder for us to obtain all art materials across the board than it was during lockdown. After the factories all shut down for the whole of the 15 weeks of lockdown, they are way, way behind. There are often up to 8-week delays for many things, if that. We've been waiting 3 to 4 months for most of our stock and still haven't got it. I don't know if we've got any carmine. I will have to have a look, but obviously I'm in a different floor level to the shop, so I can't tell you. I'll have a look in a bit and see if we have. But it's a nightmare. Honestly, it's a nightmare. Just can't get anything in. It's doing me head in, as I would say, as I have said, as I've just said. Because we're ordering so much stuff, and for example, we did a big order from one of our main suppliers who we order off every week, and less than 50% of what we ordered turned up. We ended up with a shoebox size of stock rather than a large pallet. Saves me money, but it does mean it's more difficult. I'm having to say the Christmas word already. Normally I wouldn't order Christmas stock in until November, December, but as soon as things arrive, I'm having to order them in because I have to grab it while I can. Right, hello Chris, are you there? Hello. Hello Anne. That's alright, don't worry. It's nice to have you in my ear. That's alright. So I've got I think your internet's a bit dodgy because you're breaking up on Discord as well. Might have to refresh. If you have, I mean, for acrylics, I tend to not use a pre-coloured paper or card, and the only reason why is that it's a lot more absorbent, if you know what I mean. By this is canvas paper. By putting the black colour on, what it actually does is it makes it much easier, and it seals the surface. But I will put the lily pads on because it's 10 past now. Go a wriggle on, Barry. What are you playing at, love? I know that's what you're all saying. I know. So I'm gonna put the lily. Oh, you sound better. You went all robotic for a minute then, Chris. Okay. Well, it's black and blue, but you can't tell I've put any blue on it. Okay. Right. Good. Well, I've got the best of the best then, haven't I? Yeah. Did you want any dabbler boxes for kids, did you say? Okay, how many did you want? 3. 3 of the October ones. Yeah, and to your house. Okay, we can do that. Okay. Okay. Okay, brilliant. Right, so I've got a little flat brush because I want to put the lily pads on first because the lily is in front of... I'm not going to do it as big as it is in the picture, just because I haven't got a brush big enough to hand. But I will do some nice big lily pads. So I'm going to mix some lemon yellow and a bit of ultramarine. I am adding a tiny bit of white to that, and the only reason is to make it a bit more opaque. So lemon yellow, bit of ultramarine, and we've got... I'll probably end up doing it as big as I said I'm not going to do it. So this isn't about double loading, but I do want to talk to you about the whole premise of the lily is about double loading. Now Louise, I think you're a bit of a double loader expert already, because it kind of harkens back. I haven't got anywhere near enough paint on my brush. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm not awake this morning. I've got the light shining right on this wet paint and I cannot see it, and it's not my lamp either, it's just the light from the window. How dare it be decent weather today. Been awful, that rain, hasn't it? Just absolutely wash out. Everything's been so grey and dull, and I've had my heating's broken, so I've got no boiler or anything. I mean, I'm fairly hardened, and I wouldn't be normally using it. It's been on the cusp of collapse for a while, and the landlord's constantly having to fiddle with it. But there's a thermostat thing gone with it that he thought he'd removed, but it would still work manually, but it doesn't work manually. So yeah, it's been really difficult, to be honest, because I've had the fire on in the living room for all weekend, and amazingly, I'd managed to do it. To do it so that it hadn't gone out overnight. It's alright. Sorry for the hesitation. Discord has just decided to update and cancel me and cut me off. Right, I'm back. Discord decided to update Anne while I was in the middle of talking. Yeah. Total update. Right, I haven't got anywhere near enough yellow and on my palette. I thought, oh no, I'll just do have a little bit on here. I need to put a bit of black on, I think, as well. Just block in for now. Now, if you notice, what's really good, and I say this often when we talk about flowers and plants, that the colour of the leaves, you also have the colour of the flower within them. And you can see there's a sort of reddy crimson look to many. Let's go over. This is almost, I could have ended up painting it in green rather than black, couldn't I? Never mind. The flower's going to go there. I'm just going to have another one here for time, because this is just the background rather than anything else. I'm going to need more paint or more lemon and a bit of black, which I didn't squeeze out. Sorry, I've got my brush in my mouth. It's rude of me, isn't it? So if I'm going to add a little bit more white to my greeny mix. No drawing. I'm winging it. I know I was supposed to phone the dentist this morning to eventually pluck up the courage to make an appointment for my broken tooth, which I still haven't done. I'm just so anxious about going. I mean, technically I know it's supposed to be one of the safest places to do it, isn't it? A dentist at the moment, I think. Well, they'll be like doing temperature checks and they'll all sorts, won't they? But I just haven't been anywhere other than where I've got to go. I'm so hesitant, and I don't. It's not like me at all. But I don't want this to take over my life. It's not painful at all, but that's what worries me, that because I'm just using temporary fillings, temporary filling paste, because it's got a hole in it with a sharp bit, so I'm trying to pad it out each time with the sharp, try and get rid of the sharp bit with the temporary filling paste. But I've been doing that now for since the lockdown, because I fractured the tooth the first week of lockdown, and then the second week of lockdown is when it totally smashed, and a chunk fell out, and it's my wisdom tooth, so it's right on the back. But I'm not in any pain. I'm in my normal pain because the reason how my teeth get so broken is because I grind and clamp my teeth when I'm stressed or in my sleep. And obviously it's been quite a stressful time for us all. So I've been really clamping down hard. So I get the most immense jaw ache up my ear at the best of time. Because I was supposed to, way before lockdown, I was supposed to be getting getting a personalised mouth guard fitted to try and stop it from breaking all of my teeth, because I lost a tooth just before Christmas, because the amount of pressure I'd done, I'd fractured the whole tooth, so it couldn't be filled or anything. And he said the problem we've got is now we've removed that tooth, it'll just now switch. You'll put the pressure and it'll land on the next highest protruding tooth, and you're just going to keep going round and round and round in circles and never getting anywhere, because you're just going to keep breaking tooth to tooth. And he said you're too young to think about false teeth or anything, but we've got to save what we can, which is a bit scary really, because I've already lost three teeth because of this over the years, and my previous dentist never suggested a mouth guard. She said because the ones that we can provide on the NHS, you'll fracture them because you're putting far too much pressure. But this dentist here, because I've had to go private, he's saying they do like this silicone type stuff. I suppose it's a bit like babies' dummies and things, you know, that kind of rubbery stuff that he's going to mould to fit my mouth exactly. So it takes quite some time. I've just added a little bit of crimson to the green, just so I can go right on the edge, and then I will work, I promise, on the double loading thing. I know the flower's going to go on there, so that should be alright. Let me just fiddle a little bit with a bit of black. Just trying to create some more interesting shapes with the lily pads. The ones that are more visible, there are a lot more lily pads in the picture, I know, but I'm not really going to worry about them too much. Just want to, because obviously the bit is the double loading is the bit that we're all interested in. This is just a bit of black with the green to try and create a bit of interest, but I can fiddle with this, you see. We can fiddle with the texture of the leaves at any time, but what we can't fiddle with is the brush effect, which is what we'll be doing in a minute. I should have left this out really instead of yeah, paint it black. I mean, there is going to be a lot of the lily flower over a lot of this, but it's always good to have it there as an under colour just in case. There are some whiter highlights on this that I'll put in a little while. I'm going to quickly get the hairdryer on this because of time, especially over this section. No, there's not very many of you today. I think I know there's a few that will join afterwards. Right, that will give me enough base so I know roughly where it is. Now what I'm going to do, I haven't picked it up. What I'm going to do is quickly run across the room. I'll be back in a second. just to get a little bit of a there is a little, it's a hoverfly thing, isn't it? I'm not going to paint him in though. Just to give me a rough idea of the outline. It's just a pastel pencil that I can just pop in there. So the double loading bit works with a round brush. Now if I switch to camera 2 and just get that right, so you can see how it works. So basically, double loading, I'm going in with a lot of crimson, loading the whole brush up, so the crimson needs to be fairly slick. You can double load with any brushes, and to do any effect you can use a flat brush and put several colours of green on in one go, and it's quite nice. Right, so the main body of the brush is crimson. Then I'm just going to put the tip in the white. So when I come down with the brush, it's more of a marble. Tip in white, exactly the same. And these are the background leaves. So you can see it's sort of tip at the top. It's quite a long process to build this up, but it's well worth it. So the bigger the brush, the bigger the loading works. So build it up, keep building it up. Load the brush in crimson each time, and then the tip of the brush becomes the white. So we work from the out. This is the very back. The very back. We work from the back and the sides forward. So we work from the bottom layer that would be attached to the plant, to the stem, then the next layer, then the next layer, kind of thing, as you go around, but then the middle's slightly different, as you will see. I've ordered, just for me to see what it's like, it's called Black 3.0, and it's supposed to be the blackest acrylic paint ever made. that it locks out, it reflects 99.8% light. So it should be sort of like looking into a black void. So I've ordered just a little tub. Yeah, it absorbs it rather, yeah. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what it looks like, or how it looks on an acrylic painting. It's not super expensive, but I don't know if we'll be stocking it. There's not, I don't suppose there's a huge amount of call for black paint that locks out all of that light, but it's quite interesting right now. That outer petal there, because we're overlaying all of these. It's got to be, that's got to come out more. And then as I come forward, we'll look at the I'm using a bit more white, but your paint has to be so slick. If your paint's too thick, you won't really get the coverage. Oh, I want to move it around, sorry. Same again. Just using the point of the brush to create the point of the petal. It's nearly all white. A hint of pink in the base. Double brush loading has been around for centuries. I might just use a little bit of pink on here just to create the lines on here, but in the UK it was often used for barge painting. You would often find brushes were double loaded or triple loaded to get the effect. Obviously in China, many of the brush paintings there are double loaded. Just adding just an extra bit of white on some of the edges. Just to make it stand out a little bit. To get that hint of a curve. Right, so now I'm going to do this one, but we don't need a double loading for this one because it is just a darker bit of crimson. But I'm not cleaning my brush. To get that sort of hollow look. It'll look different as I pan out, but obviously panning out won't be the best solution for you all. Now I've got the paint on my brush a bit better, I'm just going to go back to those back transparent ones. Right, so I'm going to go back in, double load the brush. White tip, you can see, and then you can flip your brush over and that'll give you a nice effect. A bit more white on that one. So you're kind of blocking the next layer in place. We have done a lily. We've done it in watercolors as well before now as well. Not this picture. Oh, some paler ones. Yeah, I saw that one as a reference this morning and I thought, no, I'm sure I've done that one with some of them, so I won't repeat. Well, I've only just downloaded this image this morning, this reference, so it won't be this exact one that we've done, if we've done it before. But obviously they all look similar, don't they? Add another one in or make that a little bit wider there. Right, so now go around that way to make that one a little bit taller. But you can double load the brush in either the white first or the pink first, but it just works really, really nicely to get a beautiful marble effect and also a lighter tone on the top edge, which is where we want the white bits. But mine is sort of blended in because I'm not cleaning my brush because of the time factor. But there's a lot you can do. So if I just use the crimson on its own, I can create, without doing the white tip, I can create the other side of the lily, the near side, of the inner petals. Like that. the brush. Sort of like that. So if I move, let me put that brush away. Let me move camera angles. Let's see if it works. Oh, it doesn't show up because it's too pale. Hello. Let me get some white back in the view, so you can see the change in the colour. So once you've used your double loading, that's when you can sort of add shadow and tone if you wish, as there is in the underside of the petal. So I'm going to make a sort of purple colour. Add to the blue and the crimson. This is fairly dilute. So this is just ultramarine and carmine or crimson, fairly diluted, so we've got the hint of shadows at play. I can still use that purple as a shadow on the leaves as well, but I'm just going in to pick out the darker tones just to start with. Got to start somewhere, haven't you? Reluctant to use black, although let's add a tiny bit of black in this. See, I say I'm reluctant and then I do it. Within seconds of saying I'm not going to do it, I do it. Still in the realms of purple though, so I'll let myself off. Because as you know, it's the shadows that make it, isn't it? The things that we're all scared of. There was a watercolour group that I'm a member of, and someone was saying I can't put my finger on why this hasn't worked, this painting, and it was because of the darks. It was a really nice painting actually, but because they'd not put the darks in, it just didn't quite work as well as it could have. Now I've got a tickly cough, that's what I've got. of a shadow on that leaf as well. Try and keep it all fairly consistent. Now, obviously, this is all still wet as well. Yeah, keep going, Sarah. You can do this. You can do this. I might just add a little bit more crimson lines in the petals because it helps get the contouring and the shape. Carmine is more transparent than crimson, so it depends which colour you've got. Because obviously these, the outer side, are slightly lighter on the edges because they're curving that way, whereas these the petals that come in towards us are curving that way, so you don't see the inside. So if I go in with a little bit of white now, as with everything always needs a bit of titivating. Just to make things a little bit more solid. You can do it all with double loading. I think a long time ago we may have done something, maybe not in this class, but a long time ago we've double, yeah, and I think we've done sort of plant based things like leaves and things double loading with a flat brush, I think, but I am going back quite a long time, but I forget how many of you have been coming for such a long time now. Years. So any flower can be painted in this way with double petals. I know we did something with a knife. Do you remember we did pansies with a knife once? In acrylics, we pivoted we loaded the palette knife up in 2 colours and created a pansy. Now that petal just needs to go a little bit behind that one. I'm just straightening my edges up. A little bit. Oh, it's looking all right. And obviously there's the whole of the inside, which is going to be yellow. In that bit, which I'll do now. It should be cadmium yellow, but I've got lemon yellow on here, and because we've used lemon yellow in the rest, we might as well do this quite thickly. No hoverfly though. So this is almost oil painting thickness. I'm doing a lot of this to make it stand out. I might just put a hint of a whitewash on some of these leaves in places. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. That is, because this lily isn't. There are leaves in the rest of the picture, but not in my picture. I'm just going to give a hint of reflection that will show that this is water. So I'm going to make a sort of purpley pink, because we're going to see underneath it rather than a mirror reflection. So if I go with a bit of blue, a bit of crimson, and a little bit of white, quite running. Maybe a little bit more white. Because it's shadow as well as reflection. But I'm doing it nice and diluted. And I'll just put a tiny bit more white in. That one, and just dilute it as it gets further back. Sort of like that. Time is flying by as usual. Bit of dilute white just to tint a little bit of that leaf there on the lighter side. Hint of a curved leaf there, and maybe a little bit there. So they go a little bit darker down the side of those curved leaves. Not really any reflection on the lily pads because they're so flat to the surface. I mean, if you wanted to, you could put a hint of green every now and then, but it wouldn't have too much reflection. They'd often, if they have anything, they have more white on them around the edge, broken white lines where the water's sort of clinging to them. is beating us today. I've forgotten that lily pad because that piece of paper was covering it, wasn't it? But hopefully it gives you a bit of an idea of the sort of things you can do with double loading. You don't have to, I mean, it doesn't have to be a very precise thing. As long as you've got double loading, basically just has several colours of paint, or one or two colours of paint on the brush at any one time, so it gives you a more softer, uniform approach to mixing, to save mixing lots of colours on the palette. And you can, in many places, just leave that double load as is without any faffing. But I'm actually struggling because of the way I've had to set the camera up this morning. I don't know why, but I've got a lot of reflection on my paint, so it means I can't actually see what I'm doing. I'm having to rely on the screen to give me information rather than the painting I've actually got in front of my own eyes, which might sound a little bit weird. Just looking for lights and darks. We ought to have just a little bit of darker purpley black right in the base of that petal. You could put a little frog on this somewhere, I'm sure. You can see how it's now really bleached out the contrast of the colours. So if I move everything out of the way for a second and put this bit of paper back, you can kind of see how it's worked anyway. So there you go, 11 o'clock, and we've kind of worked it out. If I leave that here, but obviously I'll be taking a photograph of it so you can see it in a bit more detail. If you wanted to add any more darks, depends how realistic you want to go. If I was going to add any more darks, it would be sort of in the base of here, but it's a bit too wet for me to do anything with, because I've got lots and lots and lots of layers of paint on this. So I do hope you've enjoyed this morning, and there's lots of scope to add your own twist on it. Let's try to see what we've got next week. Next week, ooh, it is acrylics, but it's Cottage at Glenative in acrylics next Monday. So that'd be nice. So coming up this week, tonight we've got watercolours, hair gazing at a supermoon. Tomorrow afternoon is tree with amazing roots and autumn leaves in acrylics. Wednesday drawing class is a West Highland Terrier. Thursday morning art for the actress is painting puddles in watercolour. Thursday afternoon is Stapleton Bristol at sunrise. Thursday evening is Harvest Scene with Ploughed Fields. Friday morning is week 2 of Ancient Chinese Art History. Friday afternoon is A Brown Bear in a Field of Flowers. Saturday is the calligraphy class, which is lettering with a broad-edged brush. And Sunday is Frosty New Forest and a Horse in watercolour in the morning. So lots and lots of things to look forward to over the next week. Maybe you're booked into some of them, or all of them, or none of them. I don't know. But it's lovely to have your company as always, and I do look forward to seeing you again whenever you're ready to join us. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and I look forward to seeing what you create with your double-loaded brushwork to do some of this and see how you get on. So thank you very much, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you all soon. Bye, bye, bye.